compared to, say, a month ago, our vulnerability has increased. And the situation can escalate very rapidly, especially with the likelihood of more interactions and activities taking place over the Chinese New Year period. And we only need to recall what happened last year when we indeed saw a spike in cases after Chinese New Year, and we had many clusters linked to Chinese New Year gatherings. This was last year. We don't want a repeat of that happening, and that's why we are making a preemptive move now to tighten some of our measures. Currently, the rule is that households can receive up to 8 visitors at any time. At any time, you can receive up to 8 visitors in your home. This is okay for normal circumstances, because under normal circumstances, you will not have so many people visiting your home. But I think for Chinese New Year, this potentially will cause difficulties. Even residents during this period, or over the last few weeks when I'm in my constituency, they have come up to me and asked, is it really the case that I can visit any number of times during Chinese New Year? It sounds rather lax. You know, they are not quite sure that you can really visit multiple times a day. So we think that there is a need to tighten, and the new requirement will be that we limit visits to 8 distinct visitors per household per day. And this new requirement, this new rule will begin next Tuesday, 26th of January. If you're going out to do visits, what I mentioned earlier applies to people visiting your home. But if you're going out to do visits yourself, then we would strongly encourage and advise that you limit your visits to not more than 2 other households per day. Especially during the Chinese New Year period, we would strongly encourage everyone to keep in touch with your friends virtually rather than have physical meetings or physical gatherings. And if you do want to have physical visits, limit these visits to your family members only. And at the same time, limit it to not more than 2 other households per day. Besides home visits, we know that dining out remains an activity that carries some risk, because you are without your mask on and you are in a space with many people for some prolonged period of time. That's why we already have rules in place which include keeping your mask on if you are not eating or drinking, and ensuring that there's no singing or live performances at F&B establishments. Therefore, all diners must continue to abide by these rules and keep their voices down. There should not be any singing or loud shouting or talking during a meal. And we have to be especially careful during the Chinese New Year period. So if you are out in a restaurant and you want to order yusheng, well, they may serve you the yusheng, but during the lo hei, you have to keep your mask on, and there should be no shouting of auspicious phrases by the F&B staff or by the patrons in the restaurant. Likewise, for reunion dinners, you can go out to dine together as a family in a table of 8, but there should not be any multiple table bookings. This is a current rule, it's an ongoing rule, and we will continue to enforce it. So during this period going forward, we are getting our safe distancing ambassadors and enforcement officers to go out. We will be stepping up our enforcement checks. The officers will be going out to F&B outlets, to shopping malls, and to other crowded public venues. Strict enforcement actions will be taken against any individuals and business operators that breach the safe management measures. The penalties would include fines and prosecution in court, depending on the severity of the offense. And for business operators that breach the rules, their operations will be suspended. So for all businesses, we again remind them to take the rules very seriously, do not take chances, and make sure that there is 100% compliance. I think, broader context that we are in right now should be apparent to everyone. The virus is raging everywhere in the world, and including in places all around Asia which have up to now been successful in controlling the infection. Many of these places are now seeing new cases emerging, including in Singapore. And that's why around Asia, many regions, many places, China, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, they too are putting in place curbs and restrictions on Chinese New Year celebrations. So let us be mentally prepared that Chinese New Year this year will not be the same as before. It will be quieter, it will be more subdued, and we will have to be more disciplined in how we go about our daily activities and interactions. The task force will continue to monitor very carefully the infection situation, and we will not hesitate to take additional measures if and when necessary. But we seek everyone's cooperation to uphold all the prevailing measures and the new ones which we have just announced, so that we can get through this hump without having to impose any additional drastic measures.